Hello students, a very warm welcome to all of you to this today's session. Today we are going to understand and discuss and explain marketing communication models. The models used by the advertiser in the different phases so that they can inform the customers, they can communicate with the customers, and they can move the customers from the lack of awareness stage to the purchase stage. We'll discuss the evolution of the marketing communication model, how it has been evolved over time till today's date. We'll discuss the marketing communication model processes, how it works, and what are the pros and cons of those models to the consumers as well as to the marketers or advertisers. Marketing or marketers communicate with potential consumers through different elements of communication mix, or as we know commonly, marketing communication mix, such as advertisement, personal selling, salesmanship, publicity, public relations, sales promotion, direct marketing, all of this. Marketers uses this model to move the customers or to understand the customers, how the customers are passing through these stages before they make the final buying decisions. There are a variety of studies that has been made to understand the different models and to understand how these models helps the marketer to move the customers through the hierarchy process so that customers can be converted from the lack of awareness stage to the purchase decision stage. The stages depends on the different internal and external variables. It does not only depend on the model. So the different variables include the psychology of the individuals who is taking the purchase decision and going through the different stages, involvement of that particular individual in the buying decision process, nature of the product, quality of the product, learning process, all these things. One needs several communication models to understand the buying behavior of the customer for different types of products. Also, if you look at this environment, nowadays change is the only constant thing in this world. So everything is changing. Customer taste, customer likings, customer preferences, everything is going through a sea change, and hence communication models are also changing, or they have been redefined, they have been modified to suit these changes. Today we are starting first with the evolution of the marketing communication models. Communication models basically are developed on the basis of the studies to explain how marketing communication work in marketing a product or services by the advertiser. They act as an important tool to understand how it works in the real life situation, and thus helps organization to develop optimum marketing communication budget. Models, this communication model basically is a link between setting the advertising objectives, that is very important in today's date, and setting the optimum advertising budget. Understanding these processes or the response process of the consumer that the consumers may go through before making a purchase decision as a result of exposure to the different stimuli in the form of the advertisement, it helps a company to develop an effective optimum marketing communication model. A number of models have been developed till now to explain how a consumer may pass through the different stages of the buying decision process before they take the final decision. Marketing communication models have a great impact, and they help the marketers and the advertiser to influence the customers. That's why in today's date, to understand how marketing communication models help a customer to choose one product and not to choose another product to take their decision is important. There are many models till now has been evolved over time. Some models have been evolved because of the personal selling stages, and that has been modified and adapted to advertising after some point of time. But whatever it is, most of the models basically is based on hierarchy of effect model. Now, what is hierarchy of effect? Hierarchy of effect basically is a concept first developed for personal selling strategies used by the salesman or used by the sales forces, and afterwards it has been adapted to advertising. Before we move further, now let us study how these models have been evolved over time. There are many models in the marketing world. The evolution of the model can be classified in different phases. So here we are classifying the evolution of the models in 3 stages. And what are the 3 stages? First is earlier development phase, second one is modern development phase, and third one is challenge and defense period. So let's start with the early development phase. So early development phase, the period from 1898 to the 1960s is termed as the early development phase. Models developed in this period were mostly based on logical reasoning and intuition of the people. The first model, AIDAS model, AIDAS, an acronym or abbreviation, stands for attention, interest, desire, action and satisfaction, was evolved by various researchers. E.K. Strong in 1920s evolved first time the AIDA model in advertising, and that states an effective sales presentation should attract attention, hold the interest or arouse the interest, stimulate the desire and induce the action from the buyers, that means the final purchasing decision. Ideally, an advertisement would prove to be really effective if it takes this route. But if I follow the general and the real situation, generally advertisement does not follow that strategy to move the customers or to take the customers through this stage. Advertisement does not do that thing in real life. The AIDAS model, that is attention, interest, desire, action and satisfaction, suggested that an advertisement should be capable of attracting customers' attention, creating interest of the customers in the product or services offered by the company, arouse an desire of the customers in that product, and compels and induces the buying action or the purchasing action or the final action. And what is the proof or evidence of the effectiveness of the advertisement? The sale of the product, or you can say the buyer is going and buying the product, that is considered as a proof of advertising effectiveness. That is early development model. Next, I am coming to the modern development phase. The period from 1961 to mid 1970s is known as the modern development phase. Here too, it is assumed that the consumer goes through the various stages from unawareness to purchase of the product. But it is argued that sale of the product was not only the true measure of advertising effectiveness. The two important models developed in this phase were Lavidge and Steiner model and DAGMAR model. In this session, we will discuss two models. The special emphasis will give on the two models, mainly the two models of advertising. First one, DAGMAR model, another one is AIDAS model. But there are other models also that has been evolved along with these two models. So we'll just discuss in briefly all those models. So Lavidge, the models developed by Lavidge and Steiner basically says that the advertiser can select the objective quantifiably, and they can measure the objective also after they have given the model or influence the customers to buy the product. That is Lavidge and Steiner. DAGMAR is an acronym, stands for Designing Advertising Goals for Measured Advertising Results. Was first stated by Russell H. Cole in 1961. Cole stated that advertising objectives and marketing objectives are different. Marketing objective is to create sales, and advertising objective is to move the customers from lack of awareness stage or unawareness stage to the purchase stage. So the objective of advertisement models or advertisement is movement of the customers. Russell H. Cole first time said that an advertiser can select or set the communication objective against which the performance or the effect can be measured in terms of quantitatively. That is the first concept given by Cole, that any advertising objective you can measure quantitatively. So quantifying the advertising objective was a contribution by Russell H. Cole. Now, what is DAGMAR? If I quote the Russell H. Cole's statement or words, advertising is mass paid communication, the ultimate purpose of which is to impart information, develop attitude and induce action, that is buying, beneficial to the advertiser, commonly the sale of a product or service. And the last one I am starting now, that is challenge and defense period. Now the challenges and defense period, mainly models developed from 1973 onwards presented a very different view on marketing communication. Michael L. Ray suggested a three-order model which combined three things: learning hierarchy, dissonance hierarchy and low involvement hierarchy. So the models developed in this phase basically concentrated on these three things. They combine these three things: learning hierarchy, dissonance hierarchy and low involvement hierarchy. But mainly I have already told you all the models were based or mostly used the hierarchy of effect models. Now I am coming to my second topic of this session, that is, I told you we will discuss two models preferably. The first model I am discussing here as a second topic, that is DAGMAR model. What is DAGMAR? Before knowing or before we come to know about the DAGMAR, we should know how DAGMAR has been evolved over time, the background, the history of DAGMAR. Advertising management poses a peculiar difficulty to the marketer, and the difficulty lies in answering the question, and the question is, what is the optimum level of advertising? That is the first question that marketers should ask themselves. Theoretically, and relying on the fundamental science and economics, the optimum advertising budget or expense may be defined as that amount or that budget where marginal rupee fetches a marginal increment in sale which yields a profit which is at least equal to or more than marginal rupee spent on marginal advertisement. So that means here the company wants to relate additional sales to additional advertising basically. But the problem is it is almost impossible for a marketer to relate additional sales to additional dose of advertisement. Why? This is because additional sale or a change in sales revenue or incremental sales are caused or happen by many other simultaneous factors such as competition, income, growth, technology, etc. Therefore, separate contribution of additional advertisement to additional sales is almost undefinable. To meet this difficulty, several approaches to setting advertisement objectives and optimum advertising budget has been devised. One such approach is tonnage approach. The approach means that advertisement may be evaluated in terms of the quantity of readership or viewership and the degree of awareness that it creates among the customers. The AIDA model is based on this approach, but they have some problem. The defect of this approach is the real value of advertisement depends on the increase in sale and profit that it creates and not on the creation and the awareness and interest. To meet this criticism, Russell H. Cole in 1961 postulated a new approach called defining advertising goals for measured advertising results, DAGMAR in short. So Cole suggested that advertisement of a hierarchy of communication objectives leads to actual purchase. He suggested that marketing goals and advertising goals are different. Marketing goals are measured in terms of sales, whereas advertising goals are measured in terms of customers' movement along the hierarchy. DAGMAR model works in 4 stages: awareness, comprehension, conviction and action. Let us discuss and explain the stages one by one. First one is awareness. The basic purpose of any advertisement is creation of awareness among the customers about company's offerings, company's products, how the company sells, what are the competitors' products, everything. So the DAGMAR model says the marketers should create that awareness by giving the advertisement to the customers. Comprehension. Only awareness is not important. So the customer should understand about the product, about the benefits about the product. Customer should know what it is, how it works for them, what are the benefits the customer will derive if they purchase the product, all these things. So the knowledge and information should be given to the customers. Conviction. It is an emotional decision of the customers of preferring one brand over other brands. So the customers prefers the brand because they started liking the product, their liking, preferences all becomes very prominent. The marketer has to create that conviction in the customers through their advertisement. Last one, action. In this stage, the purchase is made. The purchase of the customers is stimulated or motivated by the marketer by the advertisement. So the advertisement can create that stimulation or that motivation in the customers. DAGMAR actually works through these 4 stages to convert the customers from the unawareness stage to the purchase action stage. So 4 stages again we are repeating. First one is awareness, comprehension, creation of the comprehension or understanding among the customers by imparting the information, necessary information relating to the purchase. Conviction, creating conviction through this advertisement by the marketer so that customers feel convinced before going and buying the product. And last one, making the purchase action. So the customers are making the purchase action and becoming happy. DAGMAR is important. DAGMAR is important because it helps the customers to move through this hierarchy model, and it can actually convert the customers from lack of awareness stage to the purchase action stage. The main contribution of advertising or DAGMAR is 3. Plus points of DAGMAR is 3. Let us discuss this one by one. First one, it shows a precise method of quantifying goals against which the results can be measured. Number 2, it provides a framework for the development of the operational objectives by introducing the behavioral science to the advertising. Another plus point, that means it has formal inbuilt feedback loop by which the manager can test the effectiveness of the advertisement. So these are the mainly 3 plus points of DAGMAR. So objective quantification is a major part for the DAGMAR process or DAGMAR model. Russell H. Cole has stated that the objective should have 4 features for in DAGMAR. First feature, it should be concrete and measurable. Any objective should be stated in terms of quantity. That is the first contribution or first major point of DAGMAR, and it should be measurable, against which the advertisement effectiveness can be measured in terms of money. Second of all, there should be a proper target audience. Target audience should be clearly defined by DAGMAR. For example, if I go by this, increasing product awareness among the heavy user segment from present 25% to the targeted 60% among the customers. So here I am defining the target audience as the heavy user segment. So the defining of the target audience should be very clear. Third one, a benchmark should be determined before the goals are set. Benchmark means a standard, or you can say a reference point. So the company must ascertain where it is and where it want to go. So there should be a benchmark determination from the company's point of view. And last one, that specified time period. The company should specify the time period against which when they can actually they want to measure. Maybe for example, the company can measure the effectiveness of advertisement after 6 months. So 6 months, 1 year, they can identify the period, time period. Though DAGMAR has many contributions, many advantages in terms of quantifying its objectives, setting advertisement budget, but still DAGMAR suffers from many criticism. First of all, problems with response hierarchy. DAGMAR model is mostly worked on the hierarchy of effect model. But the consumers always do not follow this hierarchy of the effect. They don't follow all the stages starting from the lack of awareness to the purchase stage. So in that thing, there are alternative response models depending on the purchase situation. In those situations, DAGMAR model does not work. Second one, sales as the advertising goals. Many believe sale is not the only relevant measure for advertising objective. Maybe because the additional sales, advertiser cannot relate to the additional advertisement. Sales may be the result of the many simultaneously factors, not only the result of the advertisement. So sales may happen because of the many factors other than the advertisement. Yes, advertisement is one of the factor, but only advertisement can result that sales. We cannot say that thing. There are many factors. For example, competition, for example, the government policy, for example, nature of the product, products place in the product life cycle, all this technology, all these things. So we cannot, sale is always not the only goal of the advertisement. That is the second criticism of DAGMAR. Third one is practicality and cost. Expensive research is required to establish quantitative standards and to measure the changes in the hierarchy or to measure the advertisement effectiveness. It is time consuming, and it is a belief that DAGMAR needs substantial research and advertising budget, which is beyond the means of most of the medium and short-term companies, or maybe the medium-sized firms. So it is not convenient for all the companies. Only the big companies or the large companies with the substantive resources and the research and development, they can spend money, energy, everything on DAGMAR. It is also said that DAGMAR is only for the large firms which have substantial research and substantial investment in research and development, and they have the substantial investment also. They can only afford a DAGMAR model, but DAGMAR model is not for medium-sized firms and the small-sized firms. Last one, DAGMAR is never concerned with creativity. DAGMAR inhibits creativity because DAGMAR is too much concerned with setting the advertising goals quantitatively. So it may restrict the creativity of the advertisement, and advertisement without creativity cannot work in real life. So that is DAGMAR's last criticism. Now we have come to the end of the session. So we have another topic. Very briefly, we'll just cover it. AIDAS model of advertising. AIDAS model, basically, if I go by the AIDAS model of advertising, it is also following the hierarchy of effect model, but AIDAS has been initially started or postulated by E. Strong in 1920 as a part of the sales presentation to say how AIDAS hierarchy is followed by the company to influence the customers by creating awareness among the customers, or creating attention, then arousing interest, stimulating desire, inducing action, and finally seeking the satisfaction among the customers. But if I go by this, afterwards this AIDA model has been modified and adapted to advertising. Now AIDA model basically works through the 5 stages. AIDAS, though it's a model of the personal selling, but here I am using it, or we are discussing it as a model of the advertisement. AIDAS stands for attention, interest, desire, action, satisfaction. Originally, AIDA model has been developed, that is AIDA, awareness, interest, desire, action. But afterwards, it has been redefined, or it has been adapted as AIDAS for the advertising model also. A, that is attention. The company or the marketer or the advertiser creates attention of the or seeks attention of the customers by showing advertisement, and by creating the advertisement which captures the attention of the customers, and attention is required to create the awareness. Without attention, awareness cannot be created. Next one is interest. If attention is there, automatically interest will come. So through attention, the advertiser creates interest of the customers in the company's offerings. So the customer becomes interested. They want to know what the company is selling, how they are selling, what is the product, if it would suit their lifestyles, if it would suit their requirement, budget, everything. Next comes desire. Here, advertiser stimulates a desire of the customers by showing the advertisement and by giving this working and acting this as a stimulant. So the customers think that if they can buy, then what are the benefits they will give. So desire is the extensive form or the additional form of the interest. So the customer feels a desirous, they want to buy the product so that they can go to the market and they can buy the product. Now action. Here customers goes and buys the product and they purchases the product. They purchases the product from the different store. They purchases the product maybe through the online store, but they purchase because they are convinced that whatever they are doing it correctly. And last one of the AIDAS, AIDAS, that is satisfaction. Only action is not necessary. Nowadays, advertiser wants to seek satisfaction of the customers also, so that they can build the long-term relationship with the customers, because we know customer relationship management is the backbone of the long-term marketing and sustainable marketing. So they want to create that long-term relationship by creating a win-win situation for both of them. Win-win means customers are winning because they are satisfied and the marketers are winning because they are getting the loyal customers. Their customer base is increased. So they want to seek the customer satisfaction through this stage. Though theoretically the models are there to influence the customers, to motivate the customers so that they can buy the product. Ultimate aim is to increase the sale, change the customer's attitude and to influence the customer so that they can go and buy the product. Means the ultimate aim is sale or ultimate aim is customer movement, but whatever it is, in real life most of the time customers do not follow that sequence. So in those cases these models do not work or are not effective in that way. So that's it for till today. Thank you so much.